Welcome to This Week in Warframe, a series where I keep you updated on the past week Warframe, from announcements made by DE that don't necessarily warrant their own videos to community fan art, posts, and updates. So without further ado, let's go over D's announcements and news from the 13th of January to the 19th. Starting this week's recap off, we had Devstream 122. The first announcement was that Tennocon 2019 will be on the 6th of July, and the hype site and hype trailers for Tennocon 2019 are live, but you cannot purchase tickets at this time. Now, they also stated later in the stream that Tennocon 2019 will not have a big reveal or a big secret. Instead, it will have small reveals, as they will be focusing on the output of Railjack and that whole system. But we will be talking about that later on in this section. Now, they also showcased Tennogen Round 15 for PC and Tennogen Round 14 for console users. Once again, I will be talking about that later in this video. Now, something surprising, at least to me, was a roadmap for 2019. To start the roadmap off, in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you will see a list. This is simply outlining chat's frequent messages for content they would like to see. So this includes reworks, prime trailers, raids returning, the Kingpin system, and lore. Once again, all of which are just simply frequent messages seen in chat. As for the actual roadmap, they did state 3 Warframes are currently in queue, out of the 9 Scott mentioned in Tactical Potato's interview, and 2 of which are featured in an art piece by Kevin Glint. The first frame is the Wisp frame that we have no information on at the moment, and the second is Hydron, who we will be talking about later on in this video. Now, Steve also stated that the focus for 2019 is on output, and they will be changing the ratio of tentpole releases. Steve also stated that last year they spent a lot of effort to make a big demo at Tennocon, and that this year they will be trying to mix it up a bit. Now, early this year, they did state that the Deck 12 Exploiter event will be released for Fortuna. However, they had nothing to show on the Devstream besides a number of screen flickers that showed a destroyed Fortuna level, which is more than likely the Deck 12 incident. Now, following the Exploiter event in the timeline will be the Corpus Gas City Remaster, which will feature something called Amalgams. They also showcase screen captures of the Corpus and their labs that contain sentience, and the remaster will include a new game mode, new rewards and a new reward structure, new game types, new enemy types, and it will also have attacks from outside of the tileset. And it will also offer new lore. Now, all of which are planned before Tennocon in the winter and spring seasons, and of course that is the Canadian seasons. Now, moving on, they did say that a complete transformation of how alerts work at the moment will be coming, and this is titled Wolf of Saturn. It will also have new faces or characters involved in this system, and they also showcased a mock-up of what it may look like. And of course, this is just a mock-up, so it is subject to change. There will also be challenges unlocking daily and weekly that will unlock over the span of weeks. The Wolf of Saturn will also contain cosmetic rewards with some power bonuses inside of it. It will run for possibly 8 weeks, and the syndicate that's tied to it will reset. It will also have an animated webcomic within the game for the event structure, and it will provide lore behind the new character villain that is tied to the system. Now, they also stated that the new lore, of course, will be our cinematic quest for the year, and they stated that mocap for the quest will start Monday. They also shared a screenshot of Lotus or Natar's mother, and that is what you're seeing on screen. The resolution is rather weird, but we're going to have to put up with it. It truly does look amazing. Now, moving on, getting closer to summer, Warframe's Imperium update will be released. Now, this is Railjack. It's just a fancy word for it, as Steve stated on stream. Now, the intended function of Railjack is to be a star chart-wide system instead of just Venus's orbit like we saw at the Tennocon reveal. So we will be able to build a ship, upgrade, specialize and customize the ship, and then go on missions across the star chart. Now, because we will be engaging with the ships and going inside of the ships, the Corpus capital ships will be receiving upgrades as well as getting additions of fighter classes. Now, as stated earlier, Tennocon 2019 will not have a big reveal, and instead they will be working on fixing and releasing and putting out Railjack instead of that big Tennocon surprise. There will still be surprises for Tennocon, but it will not be something as big as the reveal of Railjack that we saw in 2018. Now, Railjack will also have a new modding system that will be completely different from the current modding system that we are used to now. Now, moving into the fall, they will start working on a new tileset and faction, and it is titled Planes of Deviri, with planes having the same spelling as planes that fly around in the sky rather than planes such as Planes of Eidolon. Now, they also showed a concept art for this faction in this when they were talking about it, and of course that is up on your screen. The story for this faction will also tie into the current Warframe story. Now, in between the roadmap that I just mentioned, there will be reworks or upgrades to the current system and technical changes. First of which is the Melee 3.0 changes, which they have confirmed in the stream will be released over time in sections rather than a full load. Difficulty reworks will also be coming, with more insight arriving when they talk about or release the Wolf of Saturn, but there was no information on the stream. They also said the new player experience will be changed at some point, with a preview of said changes in the form of an image. So a more cinematic angle will be arriving in the future to the starting experience. Now, outside of the roadmap, they did show off one of the 3 upcoming Warframes in the game, that being Hildren. Now, this Warframe is a bulky female frame that was built by Minky, who was the previous art director for Warframe, and the theme was set by Scott as a shield-based technical Warframe. According to Scott, she will use her shields rather than energy, and is tech-based. Hildren will also arrive with a custom weapon that is not a primary, secondary, or melee, and is rather a heavy weapon, as shown on the screen. Now, trading will also see improvements, such as the addition of an extra trade slot, allowing players to trade full sets, and it will also have general tabs for what you want to trade. As an example, in the mock-up images, there is item, mods, or platinum. Now, an updated trade inventory screen will also be coming with the mock-up showing categories at the top, and a final screenshot just shows all the slots full when you're in the trading screen. Now, as I stated, these are just mock-ups. Moving on though, they did talk a bit about Archwing, saying that it will be getting an audit to see if it needs reworks, changes, or adjustments for Railjack this year, and in relation to the Archwing information, they did show off an Archwing glaive that is currently being made for the Railjack content. Now, in response to a question about challenging content and how they would go about trying to make more challenging content, Scott was talking a bit about how the game will always have its min-maxes. The new players that see the min-maxes take down orbs in 80 seconds, but recognize it and accept where they currently are in between the new players and the min-maxes. Scott did state afterwards, saying that the definition of challenge will differ based on every single player. It will never be completely the same. So to try and create one giant challenge for the whole community is something Scott doesn't believe should be done or is possible, and that they should continue creating challenge for each of the player types in the game rather than focusing on one specific type of challenge. Now, it has been mentioned beforehand, but to reinforce the message and repeat it from the previous episodes, raids are currently being worked on or being looked into in one shape or another. Scott also said that they have been looking at the ability to change mission node levels, so you can go to Earth, for example, and ramp it up to 30 to have a little bit of challenge, or maybe even go higher, but they are only looking at it at this stage. Now, events with Vandals and Wraiths will also be coming this year, so look out for that. Individual extractions in endless missions are currently being discussed at DE once again, and may be a possibility this year. There is currently a PvP and PvE race for Warframes currently in the works, and as said by Steve, and it's more a Mario Kart interaction rather than a duel. Now, crossplay for Warframe, they did touch on it in the stream, and Steve did state that it is an incredibly risky task at this point, especially with the age of Warframe and its update cycles, its partnerships with each of the console developers, and at the moment it is not possible. And to finish up Devstream 122, Archgun Riven mods will be added to either the Arbitration store or drop tables, and Sentient Rivens may return with a conversion blueprint that may be available through the Arbitration vendor. Now, continuing with the episode, we had Primetime 232, and Rebecca did state that more arbitration rewards will be coming soon with arbitration game type changes. Now, of course, as I stated beforehand, that may be the addition to the rewards may just be the Arc Gun Rivens, but we may even see more after that. Now, on the Xbox One at One stream, DE Megan did say that they do have plans to expand the Orbiter. Now, as for forum posts, we did have Hotfix 24.2.8 on PC, which brought Titania changes. The first change being that Titania's Razor Flyers will now gain health when Titania kills enemies while in Razor Wing, and they also increased Titania's Thorns and Entangled Tribute range to 30 meters. Mesa Prime also got her ass fixed, and they also added missing offsets for the Mesa Presido skin when using some armor sets. Further improvements were also made towards Mesa Prime's attachments when enabled on Tennogen skins, equipping emblems, and overall texture issues, and they also fixed Mesa's Peacemaker weapon damage not showing correctly in the simulacrum. Now for Baruch, his Elude Conal Indicator effect will now only be seen by the local player. They made slight tweaks to the Baruch Elude ability effect that unnecessarily pulse, and they fixed using transference while Baruch's Savagery is active, which resulted in breaking his custom UI. Now in the mining system, they did reduce the flashlight effect further when mining to avoid excessive bloom, and they made improvements towards Velus's mining deposit spawn locations that resulted in an inability to successfully mine them. Now for Stalker changes, his smokescreen ability now has a 20-second cooldown. They made 2 fixes to the Stalker, as well as fixes to the Strain mod set and Magus Revert. As for the changes that were in this hotfix, they reverted the Helios scanning changes, so he can now scan all collectibles in the game. They updated Nyx and Nyx Prime's passive descriptions to be more accurate. The Syndicate offering screens will now display mastered and formed icons. They reduced Nova's Nelstar ability firing sound. Red Twitch drop inbox messages will now be auto-removed after 30 days. They increased the brightness of the Argonax enemy highlight effect, made performance improvements related to the firing of the Imperator, and improvements towards enlarged fonts appearing unpleasant. As for the fixes that were in Hotfix 24.2.8, they are available on your screen. Following that up, we did have Hotfix 24.2.9, and this brought changes to Nyx. The first change was that they added sounds to Psychic Bolt's deactivation hold, and they made improvements towards Psychic Bolt's disabled effects. Now as for the ability Absorb, its explosion radius can be increased based on the damage input, and it is maxed out at 75 meters, and they also allowed Nyx to have a damage bonus after Absorb explodes, and that damage bonus is capped out at 400%. The Voxelaris Syndicate storefront now sells the Gyromag systems, the Atmos systems, and Repeller systems. K-Drive races will now offer 100 standing per gate rather than 50, and as for the changes that were in this hotfix, they added code for laptops with AMD graphic cards to request optimized performance rather than using low power. They made multiple optimizations to the Orbit Ballast memory footprint, made improvements towards the quest progress becoming unsynced when experiencing bad internet connections. They made further improvements towards Mesa Prime's right butt to fix it collapsing when crouching. They further optimized performance of plant pollen effects on the Earth Tileset, and they improved the error prompts when attempting to replicate a blueprint in another clan's dojo. As for the fixes, they are available on your screen. After that, we did have Hotfix 24.2.9.1, which brought improvements towards clients getting easily knocked off their K-drives when casually writing as opposed to the host doing so, and they reverted the following fix due to it breaking the sprint toggle controller functionality. That fix being not being able to do a melee spin attack with controller unless you wait 0.15 seconds after pressing the slide button. As for the fixes that were in this minor hotfix, they are available on your screen. Now also announced during the week was that the Twitch Gear Bundle 2 is live, so players who have Twitch Prime and their account linked to their Warframe account can now pick up this Gear Bundle 2. It contains 50 Platinum, a 7-day Affinity Booster, and a 7-day Resource Booster. Now for Nintendo Switch users, you will have to wait till next week before your update does get put into certification. Now as stated at the start of the video, the items included in Tennogen Round 15 for PC have been announced. These include the Excalibur Ion skin, the Garuda Successor skin, the Avara Estrella, Nidus Night Hunter finally, the Rhino Ion, and the Saturn Blade of the Lotus skin. As for the only alternate helmet, it includes the Immortuous Revenant helmet. As for the operator accessories, we have the Aurus Crown, the Kirasun Oculus, the Lumis Oculus, and the Optima Oculus. As for weapon skins, we have the Mithrite Nakana skin, the Shinigami Nakana skin, and for Syandanas, we do have the Dominus Syandana. Now, for console players on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, you guys will get the Zenori earpiece, Oculus, and mask, the Gara Zamaru skin, Limbo Grax, Carver Greatsword, Equinox Divisor, Garusu Oculus, Titania Lympharis, Loomis Earrings, and the Incognito Oculus. As for developer tweets, because we're still going, the first tweet was from DE Steve with a video just showcasing DE Sheldon playing on the Orb of Valis on the Nintendo Switch. Steve then followed up with more tweets, two of which including multiple photos for the Gas City rework, all of which are panning through your screen right now. It does look like a significant change. In the second tweet with the photos, we did get a look at another lab room with a bigger sentient inside of it. Now, in reply to LCTR's question about if there are any plans for screen space reflection updates, Steve did reply, yes, won't be in this, but will be this year. The final two tweets from Steve, the first of which being the showcase of the new player experience, the new tutorial that they showcased in the Devstream, but with the caption, the beginning will be updated with nods to things veteran players will know, but mysterious hints at what's to come, riding that tightrope. The quality and talent on this, you guys will love, I hope. Now, in relation to that tweet, someone did ask if the upcoming edition of the new player experience could be replayable for veteran players, and Steve did reply yes. Now, as for community fan art, finally we're getting here after a couple of weeks of not doing it. We have Bootylicious Nova by Crazy Daisy Art, Barricatee by Scilab, Not So Happy Infested Family by Harmer Griffin, Spider Evara by Oyama, and finally, Valkyr by Healing Pack 013. Anyway, that does conclude this week in Warframe. If you found the video informative, make sure to leave a like. If you think I can improve upon the series in any way, shape or form, make sure to leave it in the comment section down below, as well as your thoughts on anything that I talked about here today. Now, of course, glyph codes are up on your screen, so you can chuck them into the promo code section on the Warframe website, get the Iwoply channel glyph. It is, of course, the channel icon. And if you want to see more, subscribe, or if you missed out on last week's episode, make sure to click the annotation on the screen right now. It'll take you right to the video. Thank you for watching once again. See you guys next time.